everyone. I'm Jennifer, the librarian at the Lamb Branch Library, and today I just want to share what I've put together for the early literacy kits for April. And again, these kits are for kids age 5 and under to help provide suggested activities and crafts and book suggestions to give you things to do with your child to help develop their early literacy skills. And again, that does not mean trying to teach them to read, just giving them the building blocks so they'll be ready to learn to read when they're older and developmentally ready. So to get started, the kits this month will be in the green plastic bags. And again, as always, the first thing in the kit is the monthly newsletter where we have talked about the themes for the month and suggested activities for caregivers to do with their children, broken down by the 5 early literacy practices of talk, sing, read, write, and play. So again, these are, I designed these primarily for those who are not able to access the virtual story times on the Facebook page, or for those with kids who just aren't able to engage as well that way. I know it's not quite the same, and I hope we can get back to normal in-person story time soon. But again, these are designed to stand alone, but they also complement the story times that I do online. So this month, the first week, next week is Be Kind to Spiders Week. So we'll have some fun spider stories and songs and activities. Then the next week, I believe we'll be doing talking about spring. And after that is Velociraptor Appreciation Day. So we'll have a dinosaur themed story time, followed by a superhero theme at the end of the month. And then April is also National Poetry Month. So although poetry doesn't really work for a storytime theme, I will incorporate some poems into the story time. And there are a couple of poetry books listed. So some of the activities that I have this month to suggest is always, talk with your child when you're running errands, cooking dinner, whatever, just normal day, everyday things. But you can also go for a nature walk in the local park or even just around your backyard. Talk about the changes that you observe with spring coming, maybe flowers blooming, trees budding, start to see more animals and different bugs out. So I can talk about those. And then since we are talking about dinosaurs and superheroes this month, almost everyone has a favorite of at least one of those, and likely both. And I know kids who are real dinosaur fans like me have a favorite dinosaur that they would love to tell you all about. So you can discuss what your favorites are and why they're your favorites. Encourage your child to make up a story about them. Singing is a great early literacy activity because it breaks up words and phrases a little bit differently than spoken language. So it calls more attention to different sounds and the rhyme and rhythm of language. So you can sing traditional children's songs, sing along to the radio, just all variety. And I have on the back of the sheet, there are some suggested songs and finger plays that you can do as well. Then for writing skills, as always, scribbling, coloring, drawing are all great because even when they're working with crayons, they're learning how to hold them, developing their fine motor skills. So they'll be better prepared to hold and write with a pencil later. You can either, with a crayon or pencil, have them trace letters. You can get sheets that have, the dotted letters you can trace over, or they can just trace them with their fingers if they're younger, and that is a great practice. Scissor skills are another thing that are really great to develop fine motor skills and hand strength, and it is a skill they will need in school. So you can just give them scrap paper and let them cut it up into little pieces. It can be a little messy, but just get out the vacuum or the broom and sweep them up. And it's a great way to get rid of scrap paper, and they love doing it. And then finally, any kind of, manipulating of small objects. So stringing beads, doing lacing, all the arts and crafts that we do, all help with fine motor skills and eye-hand coordination. And for the little ones, picking up finger foods like Cheerios, blocks of cheese, or grape halves, things like that. They use that pincer grasp, which is, will help them later. and play and create. So, all the crafts we do, help with fine motor skills. It also lets them use your imagination. They can use their expressive language skills, telling you about them. Now that it's getting nice weather outside, go outside and have a nice game of tag or hide and seek. Encourage children to play pretend. Dramatic play is really great for so many areas of early literacy. They use their imagination, they're using their narrative skills, they're learning to work together. So all of those. And then I have a list of suggested books. So these relate to the various themes. There's a couple of books of poetry. There's some on spiders, dinosaurs, superheroes, spring. And I always include one counting book and one alphabet book on this list as well. Then on the back, like I said, we have some suggested finger plays and songs. There's a 5 Little Bug finger play, and finger plays again are good for fine motor skills as well as counting up and down. There's a dinosaur song where they get to do some large motions and make different dinosaur sounds or actions. That one's fun. And there's a shaker egg song, and one of the activities this month is make your own shaker egg. So these are great. And here's an example that I made, a great way to use up leftover Easter eggs, and you can put beads or beans or rice, all different kinds of things inside them to shake along with the songs. So that's really good for rhythm. And I've included one song here, and then another one that you can find is Lori Berkner's I Know a Chicken song. That's probably the best shaker egg song ever. Kids love it, grown-ups love it, and you can get that through Hoopla, or you can even just look it up on YouTube. And then finally, on the other side of the back page, we have the directions for the included crafts, and we'll get to that in a minute. And so I've included some coloring sheets and activity sheets. There's a coloring sheet for spring. There is a spider maze to help him get to the fly or help the fly escape, however you want to look at it. We have a velociraptor coloring sheet, and then they can also practice tracing over and writing the word velociraptor, so they get some good practice with writing and letter recognition there. Then a superhero coloring sheet, and then finally a sheet. You may need to help them with this because they probably won't be able to do the writing themselves, but they can tell it to you and you can write it down for them. But this is a create your own superhero. So they can draw the superhero, and they can even imagine themselves as a superhero and talk about what powers their superhero has or what powers they would like to have if they were the superhero, and a description. And there's some suggested words at the bottom. You can talk about what they mean, and that's great for vocabulary. Okay, and then we have our letter of the month is V for Velociraptor, and we have a die-cut dinosaur. Now, if you have a little dinosaur expert at home, they will probably tell you this is not a Velociraptor, and they are correct. This is a T-Rex, but it's the closest thing we have. And now to the crafts. So for our first craft, and here is your little bag of craft supplies, and here there are some beads and pom-poms, pipe cleaners, Easter egg, yarn, tape and glue, and some Q-tips to use to apply the glue. And then you also get a paper plate with holes punched in it. We'll get to that more in a minute. So the first craft is making our cute little spider friend here. And that uses pom-poms and pipe cleaners and googly eyes and beads if you want. If you have a little one who's more likely to put things in their mouth, you might want to skip using the beads. And then after you make the spider, you use the paper plate and the yarn to make its web. And so on the plate, you can see I have the letters of the alphabet, but they are randomized. So as they go in alphabetical order, as they string their web. It'll make a nice web, and they get to practice their letter recognition and the alphabet. And if they're a little too young for that, and they're too independent and they don't want you to help them with it, they can always just look at the back side and ignore the letters, because I know that can be a little challenging for some if they don't know their letters in alphabetical order yet, and they don't want grown-ups to help them, want to do it themselves. Then you can skip that for now and do that later. So in the end, you'll have your spider on its web, and you can sit in it nicely just like that. And then the other craft again is making your own shaker egg to go along with your song. So there is an empty egg. There are some beads you can put in it, or if you want to try different things at home. Once you've decided what kind of filler you want to keep in your egg, then you'll want to seal it somehow. And I did give you a little bit of this plain gray duct tape wound around a piece of plastic. If you have some of the more decorative narrow rolls of duct tape, you might want to use that. If you have a glue gun at home, you might want to use that to permanently seal it, because we don't want it to come open and little ones to get the filler material inside their mouth. So those are our things for this month, and they are available now. You can stop by the Lamb Library and pick them up anytime as long as supplies last. We also have craft kits for the older kids, teens and tweens. And then Rachel always has some upcoming programs for adults that are usually registration. And I will have my Saturday Science program on the 17th, and the kits for that will be ready on the 12th, the Monday before. And again, those will last as long as supplies run out. So I hope you'll stop by and pick these up and grab some suggested books that go with them. And join me for story time if you can on Wednesdays at 10:30. And again, it's recorded, so you can always watch it at your convenience. So until next month, happy reading.